Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. We are on day 84. Thank you for waking up this morning to go ahead and join me on my journey of finishing Proverbs, all of Proverbs in a year. We're on day 84. Like I said, this is Proverbs 13, and we're continuing on this. Today was a kind of harder day, and so I had a really hard time at, with understanding a little bit. I had my initial thoughts. I was a little off after looking at the commentary, but you know what? You try, you thrive, you do your best, and you try to figure out what's going on. So let's go ahead and look into it this morning. Today is Proverbs 13, 7 through 8 in the ESV. Go ahead and get closer here. One who Proverbs 13, 7 through 8 ESV. One pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. The ransom of a man's life is his wealth, but a poor man hears no threat. So here's the issue with the verse 7. Actually, I forgot to do my highlights. Someone who pretends to be rich. Well, actually, I'm going to put him in the orange, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. The ransom of a man's life is his wealth, but a poor man here, but a poor man, you know what? I don't know how to put this. Let's do this. These are interesting little tidbits. So I'll go to that in just a minute. So this is not necessarily you're wicked or you're wicked. And I don't think this is a comparison between wicked and being righteous, because wicked is a strong word. Because one pretends to be rich yet has nothing. This is the person uh that goes ahead and purchases big things for the purposes of showing that they are rich. So when you go to their house or apartment, they have this big, gigantic, which is interesting. They're living in a situation where they're in an apartment and they have this big, gigantic monitors, screen, flat screen TV, where you could watch a really amazing football game, sports event, or something. That's amazing. It looks amazing. And that's great. It's amazing. There's nothing wrong with having one of those. They have a BMW. Yeah, it's your prerogative to go ahead and purchase a really nice car. And I'm going to use in this case like BMWs, Mercedes as kind of like cars of luxury that are icons of richness, that people look at those cars and, oh my gosh, that's a nice car. And it kind of gives you a little bit of acknowledgement. Or if you're younger, like a teenager, then you're wearing really nice shoes. For guys, it's just having Jordans. And I did a video in the past when we're going through COVID, where we did everything online. And one thing we were able to do is, since you're online and everyone's online, is that they're able to film things a lot with their computer. And so they did. I had my students film things, and one of my students filmed their brother's. It wasn't their shoes; it was their brother's shoes, I think. And it was literally a whole closet of like these really nice shoes, like basketball shoes, like Jordans, and it was a collection. And that's the word we use is flex. Oh, he's flexing. When you flex, you are showing how good you are or the things you have in a certain genre. It's a flex. Okay. And the intention, the metaphor is related to when you go to work out, you flex your muscles to kind of show how big your muscles are. And people like, ooh and ah, that you have a six pack or your big biceps. amazing calves and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, you look big. That same idea refers to your life and the things that you have. And when you flex, it's a very visual thing that you do. And unfortunately, even though you have those things and you're able to show wealth, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are wealthy. And so it's kind of deceptive and misleading. So it's just showing that. And it's and not saying that it's good or bad. It's not a good or bad thing. It's kind of like societal and personal integrity kind of thing. Because you're not actually hurting anybody, but you're being deceptive is one of the things. And so one of the things about material wealth is that you shouldn't really lie about it, is kind of the message here. Don't lie about your material wealth. Yes, you could dress accordingly, but you don't need to dress over accordingly. Does that make sense? Where you're misleading people into thinking you're a certain person when you're actually not. And I've seen stories like this on, I guess when I watch movies and stuff like that, this idea of a poor person dressing rich just so that they could date a rich girl, and then the rich girl finds out that they're actually poor, and then this idea of inner character comes into play of whether or not, even though initially you have impressed another person, in the long run, is that person impressive enough um, to have the character of heart as a person that you would find down below, a person of integrity, a person that's follow wisdom and all that kind of stuff, a good person. And so, does your deceptive richness match you're being deceptive automatic? Which is interesting because if someone goes for you because of your riches, is that person actually a person of character? And I think a person of character would not go for someone who goes for riches. That makes sense? I don't know. And so, which leads to the opposite of the other thing is that person who is rich, has great wealth, pretends to be poor because they're humble. They know that rich. I'm not sure if they do know it or they just don't want to be acknowledged or they don't want to be what do you say? Don't want to be bothered by other people. Because if people see you and acknowledge like your richness, like people kind of go up to you and kind of say hi, hey, how you doing, and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of in itself is sort of a nuisance to especially rich people because they're humble. They don't want to be acknowledged or noticed because they have great wealth. So who are they trying to impress? And so the only person they're impressing is themselves. Like how successful are they and stuff like that. And so that verse 7 is basically is the personal perception. And thing is that just because you look rich, it doesn't give you security. Like there's no necessarily mean that you have personal security or relational security and all that kind of stuff. It does attract attention. That's great. But a person who's actually rich, wealthy, material-wise, doesn't need to flaunt it. They're humble and and it shows that they're taking care of their money while the person who is pretends to be rich, meaning they're poor, is not humble and they're spending beyond their means. And so if you're living in an apartment and you have a big flat screen TV and you're driving a BMW, but living in an apartment, like a one bedroom single something, like where are you sending your legacy? You have nothing to give. Cars actually depreciate over time. Once you purchase a car, it lowers in value. And so you are investing in something that doesn't last because that car is going to break down. You're going to have to fix it and all that kind of stuff and everything. Your shoes and everything and flat screen TV, those things come out outdated and they depreciate in value over time. I don't know about the Jordans. Jordans is actually, I don't- but the idea is clear. The idea is clear is that you're investing in things that are impermanent and will not last. When we know in when we're reading the Proverbs, you should be investing in things that last, like your personal, your your relationships with others, your own personal integrity, and your reputation as a person who works and really hard and grinds and is dependable and all those things that find from your worth ethic and stuff like that. But showing that you're wealthy, not a big deal. It's like in the whole scheme of life, long term and everything, wealth is not material wealth is not a great deal. It's not a big deal because it's not it doesn't make you secure, which leads to verse 8. And it's talking about the ransom of a man's wealth, life is his wealth. You could actually use money as a shield against the dangers of this world, and it does provide protections. But but to have the money to protect you from wealth, uh, also assumes that you're not safe, even if you're wealthy. And actually, if you're wealthy, you put a target on your back, and that makes you that people would kind of target you and want know that you have money. If they know you have money, which is the ironic thing, pretending to be rich, but you have nothing. And so if someone were to come by and take that BMW or take that shoe from you, that's a big deal. But if you're because you're out that money that you spent that you didn't and you're investing in those things, but you don't actually have material wealth long term. You're just spending it frivolously beyond your means, and that could be taken from you. Like you're gonna buy another BMW and put yourself in further debt. That's terrible. But a wealthy person could go ahead and it's like, okay, here, take it and stuff like that. But but it also means that you're attracting attention and draws danger to you if you're wealthy. So that's kind of a thing. When you're poor, you don't have anything. And so it means that there's nothing that people really want from you when you're poor. And so you're kind of safe from certain kinds of dangers. But the thing with being poor is that you also lack options. Because if you are in danger, you didn't have the income to go ahead and find protection in certain means, like either like home security, living in a safer neighborhood. So if you're wealthy, you tend to live in a safer neighborhood that generally doesn't have a lot of crime and is not as populated as if you were living directly inside the city. Um, and so, because a wealthy person would actually have property, and that property, yes, you doesn't save you from danger because home invasion is a thing, and people like going to people's house and stealing things. That is a thing. So, but they have the option. They go even if they lose their house and stuff like that, and lose material items in their house. It doesn't. They won't be without a house. They could still um, get some of the things back that was stolen from them, maybe through insurance, or they also have resources they could get help, have the police help, authorities, whatever. They have resources to go ahead and either get the criminals or replenish their own wealth because they have wealth anyways. And so they have a lot of options. But the poor person, um, although they're no threat, and no threat generally comes to them because they don't have, well, certain threats don't come to them because they don't have a lot. They also don't have a lot of options. But I don't know when things do happen, because um, one of the things about life materially, you're not necessarily completely secure, even if you're rich, because things could happen to your stocks. Your business may go under. Maybe you didn't hire people. This is if you're CEO or owners of businesses and stuff like that. Things could happen. You get bought out. It's a lot of things could happen when it comes to money, but um, neither. So that kind of gives this idea that neither wealth nor poverty guarantee safety. This is something I got from the commentary, and I feel like that's true, because material wealth, whether poor or rich, doesn't exclude you from the harshness of this world. And things do happen. Maybe you do get that private jet, but the private jet's engine may fail, or something may happen with the pilot. Like, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. He has his own helicopter, and he was flying to, was it a practice or a game with his daughter and a bunch of other friends that were going to the same place. Um, because of the pilot and the weather, they got in a helicopter accident and they all died. So, and Kobe Bryant was rich. Rest in peace. So, end of it all, yes, you may be wealthy, and I think you should work really hard, so that in this world you need a little bit of wealth to survive. So in this world, yes, if you have the means and the ways and the resources, go ahead and try to make your millions or whatever, six figures or whatever you're doing, something like that. But to to get there in a way that you have a certain kind of living that you want, that's fine. Whatever. That there's nothing wrong with self prosperity. You could be prosperous and stuff like that, but be okay. Like, if you don't make it, what you really need to do is get to a place where you are, and you can go continue on in your career and stuff like that, but get to a place where you can go ahead and raise your family and have a life where that is for you, okay, within your means, and the lot that God has given you. Okay, some are born into poverty, some are born into richness, some are born in the middle. And so I think a lot of us are just in the middle. Maybe God has like a dice, and this is how you're going to roll things. Yeah, I am living in a way that I think is positive. And yes, I could envision myself like, what if I was rich, 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 and I have a nice house? I have a vision of what my house would want to be, especially it's like hacienda style with a little bit of a ranch and horses and stuff like that. I would get the horses because my wife always wanted horses, and so yeah, I would like to help that because I'm trying to please my wife, right? But I could also envision myself sort of living in poverty. But the thing is because of the life that I've led and grinding work and trying really hard, I always feel like I would find a way in which to be able to still live within my means at a poorer state. That makes sense. Or I'd find ways in which to um, live within my means. I don't know. That's just me. But whatever situation, yeah, be careful out there. You're not secure under wealth, and the wealth that you should be investing in is your relational wealth and your personal wealth, as in your character inside, the thing that you have. And if you want, look down in the description. Those are positive ways, and to build your own personal character is to live a life with Jesus and following the baselines for Proverbs. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this time and you learned something new. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.